Welcome to the Tech M&A Podcast. Presented by the Corum Group. Today we are speaking with Brian Allen, Chief Executive of Certus Solutions, a leading software and services company specializing in IBM technologies and enterprise asset management. Over the past 2 decades, Brian has helped grow Certus into one of the largest IBM-focused solution providers in Australia and New Zealand, ultimately leading to a successful sale following a long-planned liquidity event for its shareholders. Let's begin. Brian, to get us started, could you introduce yourself and tell us a bit about Certus Solutions?
My name is Brian Allen. I'm the Chief Executive of Certus Solutions. Certus Solutions is a software and services company that over the last 20 years has specialized in IBM. We're the largest software and services organization in Australia and New Zealand, working with IBM and globally one of their top 10 partners. We have a particular specialization, which is in enterprise asset management, assisting our customers to do asset lifecycle management.
How did you first learn about Corum?
I was introduced to Corum when I was the chairman of a client that Corum had by the name of Zcom, which was a telephony systems supplier that was distributed in the U.S., Europe, and Australia. And I was representing the major shareholders in Zcom, who were institutional investors in New Zealand, and were looking after a period of approximately 15 years to have a liquidity event for the company. At the point that I had been appointed as a director and chairman, Corum had been working with Zcom for approximately 4.5 years and was in hiatus at that time. Shortly after I became connected with it, there was a technological event that led to Zcom becoming much more attractive in the market. And within, after I'd been with the company for 12 or 15 months, we had come out of hiatus, found a number of buyers for the company, and so I went through the process of sale, working with Corum, and worked closely with Corum around negotiating the sale and purchase agreement.
What prompted you to consider an M&A transaction for Certus Solutions at this time?
Well, Certus Solutions has been in business since 2004, and so our shareholders, which were long supporting, had been looking for a liquidity event. And so over the past 5 years, we had been starting to groom the company to take it to market, and so it had been a long-term objective of ours to create this liquidity event, and we were just trying to build the right profitability and solution profile to go to market.
Now that you've completed a successful exit, what does life look like for you and for Certus Solutions post-transaction?
Well, the transaction for Certus shareholders, which I was a 25% shareholder, was a cash transaction, and so the shareholders and Certus now have got options in terms of what they're going to do. Many of our executive shareholders are retiring, and they are at retirement age, and it was a fantastic result for Certus shareholders over the term of their investment. For me personally, I'm stepping down as the CEO of Certus, and so there will be new personnel taking on to go forward with it. The acquiring company, Egis Group, has asked me to stay on as a consultant around strategy And so I'm considering that at the moment. But I also have a number of other, I continue to have a number of other investments in IT and consulting companies, which I will keep working on.
Thinking back on this transaction, is there anything that you would have done differently, or do you feel the process was well conducted?
Thinking back, because we actually went to market twice, and I think we might be talking about that later. In that, I think if I was doing it again, I would probably give greater consideration to longer term exit potentials that we might have put in place when we first went to market. When we first went to market, Corum suggested a very direct and a very reasonable approach to monetizing the company quickly, and that is exactly what happened. But I think at the end of the day, I probably would have, knowing what I know now, which is a big knowing what I know now. I would want to consider a broader value proposition.
What advice would you give to CEOs who are considering a transaction, whether it's their first or second time going through M&A?
That's always a difficult one because CEOs are unique creatures, and I think the main thing that I would suggest is that if you haven't had experience of selling a company before, then I think that it's really important that you open yourself up to different points of view. And so one of the things that I felt that Corum had to offer were those different points of view with their sell side expertise. And they brought that to bear across a range of their consultants and geographies. A lot of times you think you know the answers, but if you haven't done a lot of sell side M&A, I think it's really important to listen.
You've mentioned that you'll be advising Egis in the short term. What are you thinking about for the longer term?
Well, the longer term, of course, my wife would like me to retire, and in part. But for me, I've always been someone who works and takes a lot from work, and also, so the main thing for me is to use my time wisely and do just the things that I want to do. And so the most difficult thing that I have to do right now is I do have a lot of opportunities to do different things. And so I need to take some time to choose wisely about those things.
Would you like to talk a bit about the hiatus period during the transaction and how it affected the process?
Our initial go-to-market with Corum, what I think was probably textbookish. We created our value proposition. We chose our strategic buyers. We went to market, and in 4 months' time, we had a non-binding initial offer, and we're headed towards due diligence. And so it was all going according to the plan, right? And then our initial buyer had an event that required them to withdraw from the bid process, and so we were kind of forced into hiatus because we'd already withdrawn from the market, and we weren't in a good position to kind of go back to it. What we did in that, in reaction to that, was that the successful bidder for the first time was Egis, and they were still very interested in completing the transaction, but had had impediments that prevented them from doing it at that time. And so what we did is that we entered into a strategic alliance with them to carry on with getting a lot of the benefits that we thought that we were going to get from combining with them in the first place, and entered into those. And that took almost a year. And during that time, we created a strategic alliance agreement and entered into joint development of industry solutions, and we're marketing and selling our solutions together. And so it created a whole new dimension for Certus, which suddenly, instead of just being an Australian and New Zealand dominant market player, we were a dominant market player in a particular geography who is now expanding into the Middle East, Europe, and potentially North America in the next 2 years. So I guess you could say it was fortunate that they did withdraw, because when we went back to market, having created these new relationships, we actually had a different value proposition, and it resulted in us getting a better price for the company.
During that hiatus, you always planned to re-enter the market and create competitive tension so Egis wouldn't have leverage over the outcome. Is that correct?
So that was very important to us, and we were clear with Egis that we would be going back to market, and that it would be that any future dealings would be competitive. And to their credit, I would say that they accepted that position and as something that was reasonable in the circumstances.
At the end of the day, would you say the hiatus ultimately benefited you?
I would.
Brian, thank you for taking the time to chat with us today. Thank you for tuning in to the Tech M&A Podcast. If you enjoyed the show, please share it with your friends, colleagues, and fellow entrepreneurs. We release new episodes every 2 weeks, so make sure to subscribe and stay up to date on our latest interviews and tech M&A research. And while you're there, go ahead and drop us a rate and review. And if you have any suggestions or topics you'd like us to cover, please reach out to us on social media or email us at info@corumgroup.com. Join us again next time for more inspirational stories and practical tips from tech founders who have successfully navigated the exits of their companies.